Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Don't Praise the Machine. This is episode number 167. As always, I'm one of your hosts. I go by the name Alexander Holland. I'm sat in Berlin, Germany, and as always, down there in down, dirty Melbourne town. It's everybody's favourite tenured professor of podcasting. He's got to be the one called...
Junior Boost Maloney.
The Jolly Junior Boost. And John, I know you're a huge fan of the band The Police, 1980s rock reggae band The Police. You love Sting, you love Message in a Bottle.
I liked his destigmatizing of tantric sex. That was a great contribution.
It was an important contribution from Sting. And something I was thinking about in the shower this week, John, was that when Sting dies, it's going to be very tragic. We'll all be very sad. But when Sting passes, won't it be correct to then call him Stung? Wouldn't that be grammatically correct? So you'll be with
would be very respectful.
So you'll be with friends and you'll say, "I love that song, Fields of Gold by Stung," and everyone will go. Yeah, and everyone will feel slightly sad because they'll realize that we used to call him Sting. Oh, I love Englishman in New York by Sting. Oh, sorry, Stung. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to... He's one of my favorite artists to misquote.
Oh, yeah?
For some reason. I don't know why, but... Whenever I hear the song Message in a Bottle, I think of Massage in a Bottle.
Right.
Which I think might actually be, because somebody else had that idea, a brand of kind of massage cream. And then when it sings Sending Out an SOS, I always think Sending Out a NES OS.
What like a Nintendo...
Like if you were sending a Nintendo overseas, Nintendo Entertainment System... Someone who's sold one on Marketplace and they're like just singing to themselves, sending out an SOS.
Just taping up the box as they sing that. I always used to tell people that Message in a Bottle, I tell you, that song Message in a Bottle, that's written by the person who was in charge of the antenna that used to broadcast the Australian television station SBS, and because they'd be up there broadcasting SBS, and they'd go, "Sending out an SBS, sending out an SBS." Why is that? Why is Message in a Bottle so fun to change the lyrics of from Sting?
I don't know.
And Police.
Yeah. I don't know. And why did he write a song about a teacher's inappropriate attraction to one of his students?
Yeah,
probably could have just made that a love song.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, he could have just switched that up and made it a little bit more palatable.
Oh, I suppose he must. But
yeah, that's a good question. It certainly would not have been written today. There was that era. There was that era before our modern times, our bloody PC modern times, bloody hell, when it was a thing for male rock stars to write songs about, seems like 16 was kind of the limit, I think. People would just write songs about, oh yeah, I'm a 35-year-old rock star, but I'm in love with a 16-year-old girl, sweet 16. And everyone was just like, yeah, that's fine. One of my favorite Billy Idol songs is, I think it's called Sweet 16. It's a fucking great song. It has this beautiful, haunting, trippy guitar with delay that comes. He goes, "I would do anything," and then the little guitar goes, "Do do 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 for my sweet 16. Do 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 do. I'll do anything." Do, 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 do. It's pretty weird though, because I think
Billy Idol.
Yeah, Billy Idol. I think it also goes. It's pretty weird. It goes like, and then I think it's about somebody else. Takes the 16-year-old girl off. He doesn't get to be with her. Somebody else has won her heart, and so he starts singing.
More age appropriate.
Someone more much appropriate. And then it goes, someone's building candy castles for my sweet 16. Someone's building a candy house to house her in. But it is a great song. So everybody, recommendation this week, Billy Idol. Keep wanting to say Eilish. Billy
Eilish.
Idol, Sweet 16.
You should do a cover. Yeah.
Billy Idol, keep doing it. Sweet 16. Second thing on my.
Hold your nose, guys. It was a different time.
We should have this on a t-shirt, John. Hold your nose and open your ears. It's about separating the art from the artist, or or your eyes maybe. Hold your nose and open your hearts to the creative work of what. Actually, maybe when we
on the show, separate the flute from the flautist.
Separate the flute from the flautist. I do love that one. That's another great t-shirt. I have something else written here that I'm really going to throw at you. I flew to Tunisia last week, spent 4 days in the lovely city. Well, I spent 2 days in Tunis, the capital, and then I spent 2 days in the beachside town of Hammamet. Shout out to my dear friend Scott Robbo the Dog Robertson, who I traveled with, and we had a great time. It's a very fascinating place, and we met lots of wonderful people. When I was flying over, I had something happen to me while I was on the airplane, and I thought, wow, I'd not thought about this. And I wanted to ask you a question, John, and you can tell me if you've had this. Have you ever had a female pilot your plane?
It's very rare, surprisingly rare now that you make me think about it, because you usually get the message, don't you, from the
That's right.
cockpit saying, this is your captain speaking, blah, 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 blah.
That's right.
If I have, it's, once or twice.
I'm going to say
But
no,
I can't remember.
because you can't remember. And so I'm just saying that you're a big sexist because you've never had a female pilot like me.
That's true. I make them check before I book the flight.
You go on Skype, you send them an email before you. Imagine doing that. Imagine like asking.
Is there a filter setting for pilot gender, please?
I've got window seat, pilot gender. So the voice came over the intercom, and I'm going to be honest, and I think this is fine to say.
Yeah,
you hear the female voice and you think that it's the crew member.
Freaked out. Yeah. Okay.
I freaked out because we were already mid-flight and we were in the air, and I was right. I felt misled. No,
what about like co-pilot? Yeah.
We were. No, I think we were still on the tarmac, and I wasn't really paying attention. And then I noticed that the instructions, or maybe we were in the air, I can't remember. And then maybe they started saying things about the temperature and the altitude, which is not usually the job of the cabin crew. And it just struck me. I thought, wow, how fascinating. I'm usually aware of roles that are predominantly male. I normally think to myself, I understand. I wrote a few of them down here, actually. I understand that apparently the lowest amount of, I look on Statistica, I think the most male-dominated, here we go. This is so weirdly specific. 20 occupations with the lowest share of female employees worldwide in 2023. Ships, deck crews, and related workers, which seems like quite a specific industry. Not a lot of ladies on the ship deck, so that's that's 0.5, and then the next one is...
Wow, that's very low.
And then the next one is heavy truck and bus drivers is 0.71% of the Earth's. So less than 1% of the Earth's heavy truck and bus drivers are female. And I knew that, But then when I heard this lady saying where this is the altitude, this is the weather, I'm the pilot, I just was like, holy shit, I've never had this before.
That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Because you're right. I mean, I wouldn't have immediately thought, oh, this is a kind of hyper masculine industry.
Yeah.
And yet, I'm looking it up, and according to Goss magazine, don't know if that's a reputable source. Oh, CAPA, Centre for Aviation, that's probably a better source. The share of women pilots is very small, somewhere between 4 and 6%.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
And if you want to give props to the countries that are really elevating their ladies to the pilot seat, India has the highest amount of female pilots at 12.4%. Followed by Ireland, and I wonder if that's because of Ryanair. I wonder if because Ryanair is Irish based that they're reaching out, and I wonder if there's more Irish pilots in general because of Ryanair. Maybe that's maybe every second person in Ireland is a Ryanair pilot, and at 9.8%, South Africa has the most. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and it is me who is your captain for this flight. We are flying today to Johannesburg, and we're really going to get there fast, is what she was.
Where's Australia and Germany?
Australia's number 4. Australia's number 4.
Oh, great.
At 7.5%. So if you keep...
Still very low, isn't it?
Yeah, if you keep flying, though, you've got a 7.5% chance of getting a Cheryl or a Shirley or a Chantel or a Sharon,
Sheila,
or
could be a Sheila in Australia,
or a Sheila.
Yeah.
So that was
there you go.
my
Interesting
experience, and I'm just gonna say she did a better job than it was smooth sailing. I know what you're all thinking out there. Stop thinking that. It was the smoothest flight of my whole life. Thank you very much. Ladies, I'm single.
You were like, I feel further from crashing than I've ever felt.
Exactly. You know what? I just thought of this. There was a few years ago, there was that German lad who I think was flying for Eurowings, who John then bought me a voucher to. I don't know what that says, that there was a German pilot who flew a Eurowings plane into a mountain. And then John, that's the choice that John made when
just meant I got the voucher for pretty cheap. That's all.
you bought it that day.
Exactly. Shorted the market. Yeah.
I mean, it's understood that women kill themselves at a rate like for every 4 men that kill themselves, it's 1 woman. So you're much less likely to get a suicidal pilot. If it's a lady, that's one for the ladies. A lady is not going to fly. It's very, very unlikely that a lady's going to go mad and fly a plane into something. So
which was possibly the reason MH370, the disappeared Malaysian Airlines flight. This is a bit of a macabre segue, but that might have been the same thing. So
has that been suggested? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that the guy deliberately kind of flew in a manner that meant that everyone ran out of oxygen and passed out, and then just kept going until the plane went into the ocean.
What do they know about his background?
They know relatively little. I don't think there's any. There's a few things, as there would be in most people's backstory, where some people are like, "Oh, he's stressed," or this and that. But there's nothing, as far as I can remember, that's an obvious indicator of mental health issues that might relate to that. But
he was into go on.
He had a flight simulator at home where he used to kind of, I don't know if this is a common thing for pilots to be doing this, but he used to use this flight simulator to kind of simulate different flight routes. He was obviously very into his job. And when they were going through the flight routes that he'd programmed into this, they found one which was the kind of suspected course of MH370 when it went off course. So it's possible that he did, that's a sign of him premeditating it. And it's generally accepted that it's probable that he did it deliberately for whatever reason.
Wow.
So, there you go.
This has got to be a whole cast. Real sunny.
Oh, man.
Real sunny cast.
Yeah, really. Really. Al, is there a Wikipedia page that tells us about the worst airline disasters? Let's go through them.
Well, let's segue into
Yeah.
something that's always upbeat and fun and puts a sprung in my step, and that's band name of Coldplay.
Yeah, sure. And actually, there's a few points that make the segue a little smoother, like a woman piloted flight.
Yes.
And one of those is, I found out in researching for this story that Coldplay have selected, they've become very green in their approach, very climate conscious in their approach to being a band. And as part of that, they've partnered with DHL, who is a logistics company.
Yeah, sure.
And there's various DHL ads where, like kind of tongue-in-cheek ones where truck drivers and others are playing Coldplay songs during the commercial and Chris Martin walks past or whatever. But the real guts of my reason for wanting to talk about Coldplay is this. A few years ago, in fact, just after we started the podcast, probably about, it was December 2021. So we were in our first year of the podcast. And I made a note then to talk about this, but I never got back to it. Now here it is in 2024. And I thought I need to follow this up because there's a BBC article from December 23rd, 2021, which refers to comments that were made by Chris Martin, lead singer of Coldplay, who everyone will know, famously the husband of what's her name and father of Apple.
Goopy.
The husband of Goopy.
Goopy Paltrow. Goopy Paltrow.
Goopy Gwyneth and Apple, father of Apple, Apple Dad. And I've just written here, Goop Apple Dad. And and he was on in an interview with Radio 2's Joe Wiley, and he said, look, our last proper record will come out in 2025. And after that, I think we will only tour and maybe we'll do some collaborative things. But Coldplay, the Coldplay catalog, as it were, finishes then. Those were his words back at the end of 2021. And there was a bit of follow-up. A few other people asked him about that. I'm pretty sure that the great Ellen DeGeneres, who was then sort of outed as a mean person era, interviewed Chris and said, is this true? You're only going to, hang around for a few more years. And he basically said, yeah, look, I'd like to do, I think he said at the time, I'd like to do 12 albums, which was their plan. And I reckon after 2024, we'll still tour and, we might do something with another band, but we won't do any more Coldplay albums. I don't really know why. I guess because they've just been going for bloody ages. And he was like, well, everything's got to end sometime. And then I didn't really hear much more about it. And I was expecting maybe this year there'd be a bit of kind of, people going, are you standing by this? Because if so, it's the last year of Coldplay. And also, Coldplay heads will correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I think that Moon Music is only the 10th album. So they haven't, and that's the one that they're planning to release this year. So just a few days ago on the 17th of June 2024, they announced this on their website that the highly anticipated 10th album, Moon Music, will land in stores and on streaming services on 4th of October 2024.
Okay.
And interestingly, I mentioned their commitment to environmental causes. They said this will be the first album released on a 140-gram Eco Record LP, with each copy made from 9 recycled plastic bottles recovered from post-consumer waste. This will prevent the manufacture of more than 25 metric tons of virgin plastic and provide an 85% reduction in manufacturing process CO2 emissions per kilogram compared to traditional 140-gram vinyl. Now, I don't want to diminish the importance of that kind of activism, but I'm not sure that vinyl is really at the forefront of the climate crisis. I think we can probably make as much vinyl as we need to make without worrying too much. Could be wrong. But pretty sure single-use plastic bags are more of a problem. So even if you go and buy your 140-gram Eco Record LP, just make sure that you bring your tote bag with you, because you probably do more damage just saying, can you put that in a bag for me, than by buying a bad, old-fashioned 140-gram vinyl. But nonetheless, that's the kind of devil-may-care rock and roll persona that they've adopted. They love, obviously they love, you know, hooking up with groupies, trashing hotel rooms, and releasing eco-friendly LPs and partnering with DHL. But so that might suggest the reason why they've decided they've run out of. I mean, they never had kind of rock and roll, you know, like hard rock and roll cred, did they? But
no,
they're sort of starting to look a bit long in the tooth and be a bit. It's a bit kind of, it's turned into sort of safe commercial music now. Whereas I think when, you know, in the early days, they had a little bit of, I mean, they were doing interesting stuff and made some really beautiful songs.
Everyone thought they were going to be the next Radiohead after that first album, Parachutes. They were being mentioned in those kinds of sentences. They were very much indie darlings when Parachutes came out. And even their second album, which has, I think the second album has Clocks and The Scientist on it. And then it starts to get...
Yeah, still very good.
It starts to get poppier after that. But, I mean, Parachutes, I've said this before on the podcast, Parachutes is a great album, their first album. And it also just takes me straight back to first year uni, because...
Totally.
That was 2001.
Yep.
And I remember people saying, have you heard this song, Yellow? It's incredible. And I remember hearing it for the first time and going, wow, yeah, this is pretty good. I can see why people like this. And I played Yellow heaps. And then they played The Big Day Out in it's either 2001 or 2002. And they played...
Does that mean you've seen them?
I must have seen them at that. Yeah, you know what? I definitely did see them, because I remember Australia being Australia and people just being drunk dickheads and taking the piss. I remember that they were playing at the Big Day Out, and I specifically remember a drunk guy just like between the songs, one of the songs ended and everybody gave a clap, and this Smash guy behind me just went, "We love you, Radiohead." And I remember it to this day. Particularly because they then went on to go nowhere near experimental or harder edged rock. They went more commercial and more poppy and more broad, and now they're huge. And they're one of those bands that I just wouldn't pay to go and see them. But as I'm having this conversation with you, I'm thinking maybe I should, because I would have a great time.
Yeah.
And
they'd put
I
on
know all the songs. He's like an incredible songwriter. I would... One of the actually...
And these days, if you shouted out, "We love you, Radiohead," they'd say, that's a very flattering comparison.
At first, I know sometimes I go a little bit off track with like esoteric band knowledge. They have... Their first EP before Parachutes came out, I'm going to bring it up in a second, has a song on it that I absolutely love. And so this is pre-Parachutes. And I'm sorry, John, I'm just going to bring this up. Also, John, as I'm speaking to you, it's interesting that thing you mentioned about the plastic bag vinyl, because I'm going to assume that audiophiles are going to claim that is not the best sound quality you can get, because I know audiophiles...
Interesting.
Audiophiles always complain that colored vinyl. So you will have seen people try and shift colored vinyl because it looks so beautiful and it's often limited edition. Apparently colored vinyl is the worst sounding vinyl. So if you want sound quality, it has to be the black stuff.
There you go.
It can't. No, yeah, and so I'm assuming that plastic bottle vinyl is probably going to be real rubbish. So
it's just still have Pepsi faintly legible on it.
You're gonna get all Pepsi. You're gonna get all sticky Pepsi on your needle when you're playing. When you're playing the record, you're gonna
soda residue on your record player.
if you lick the record, you're gonna go. You can get. It'll be a fun game to guess with friends. You go. This was Fanta. I think this was Mountain. I think this was Mountain Dew. Think this was
cream soda.
I think this was cream soda. So, guys, I've given you 2 assignments for this week, music-wise. What was that? I've forgotten what the last one was. What did I tell everybody to listen to a second ago?
Listen to a song by Billy Idol about him
Sweet
being
16.
attracted to an underage girl.
Exactly. Sweet 16 by Billy Idol. And then the Pre-Parachutes EP, which is a 5-tracker from Coldplay from 1999. There's a song on that called See You Soon, and it is a beautiful song. And I first heard it when an Australian Idol contestant, I forget her name now, but I had a huge crush on her. She was a big indie girl, and she played it. And I thought, what the hell is this song? This song is amazing. And she said, it's a Coldplay song. And I knew all the Coldplay songs. I said, this isn't a Coldplay song. I know those albums. And it's from their Pre-Parachutes EP, which is called The Blue Room. Guys, check out See You Soon. It's got 73 million streams, almost 74. So, that's a sleeper hit for Coldplay. It's a deep cut, but for anyone else, that's a massive, massive hit.
That's a big win. I wonder, Al, if when Christopher Anthony John Martin was growing up, I think he's from Devon. He's from Exeter in Devon. He went to University College London.
Shout out to Dom. Shout out to Dom Renfrey, a big Devon head.
And then married Gwyneth Paltrow in 2003. But I wonder if when he was growing up in Devon, he thought, probably I'll marry the Goop, the mind behind Goop for a long time. They divorced in 2016. But then I'm going to go ahead and marry the daughter of Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith, whose uncles include Antonio Banderas, and Tippi Hedren is her grandmother.
So is he married to her?
Antonio Banderas' stepfather, of course, yeah.
Is he married now, Chris Martin? I thought he was single for some, but he's remarried.
Got married again to Dakota Johnson in 2017, and then I imagine he had to go and see, because they were married at the time, Madam Web, the universally canned Marvel movie that she was in with Sydney Sweeney. He thought 23 years ago I was regarded as a creative genius, and I was doing slow-mo mouthing to Yellow and walking along a beach.
That's right, on the beach in the rain.
And now I'm watching this abominable film that my wife is in and having dinner with her, with my in-laws, Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson.
Fuck, I haven't thought about Melanie Griffith for a while. Gwyneth Paltrow's film, which everyone knows name of Sliding Doors, came out in 1998. Everybody remembers that's the film. I think she does a British accent. I think she's meant to be. She's meant to be English in that film. And it's the film everybody remembers about that sliding doors moment when it could have gone. Her life could have gone one of two ways. She caught the tube in one scenario and her life went one way, and she missed the tube in another scenario and her life went the other way. And I like to think that because that film came out in 1999, that Chris Martin watched it and he said, I wish that I was the person that was on the tube that Gwyneth Paltrow got on so she could be my wife. And he went home and he wrote the song from the Blue Room EP called See You Soon. And that's about him waiting to see Gwyneth Paltrow soon.
Real soon.
He's just going, in a bulletproof vest with the windows all closed. I'll be doing my best. Yeah, I'll see you soon. And that's, not a lot of people know that. That's about Gwyneth Paltrow in Sliding Doors, and he made his dream come true. And
that's beautiful. I think of all of the films that have had a kind of cultural contribution that is greater than the film itself. You know, I don't know that there's a better example than Sliding Doors because it made its way into the popular culture as an expression. But then if you say to people, come over and we'll watch Sliding Doors, they'll say, I forgot that was even a movie.
Yeah. They'll go, hang on, isn't that a moment?
Yeah.
It's not a movie.
Right.
That's when things could have gone two
concept.
ways and there would have been two vastly different outcomes. What are you talking about? The other one, John, you're thinking of is bucket list.
That's true. That is another great example. Yeah.
If you said to somebody,
everyone talks about the bucket list.
Let's watch the bucket list.
I should host a movie night just about well-known phrases that originated with crap films.
There must be more. Do you reckon ChatGPT? What do you reckon I can ask ChatGPT? What do you think I can ask, as we call him here, Chatters? What do you reckon I can ask Chatters to see if I can get this? I'll say ChatGPT. The movies, the bucket list, so he understands the context, or she, speaking about, hey guys, not only can ladies be pilots, they can be chatbots too. I'm going to say today that ChatGPT is a lady. I'm going to address it as such. Dear ChatGPT, the movies, the bucket list, and Sliding Doors are better known for the...
Better remembered.
Perhaps, are better remembered for the expressions that they created and the cultural significance of said expressions. Can you give me any more examples of equally forgettable films which spawned similar cultural memes?
Great way of putting it.
Certainly, there are several films that, while not necessarily standing out as cinematic masterpieces, have made an impact, have made a lasting impact through the creation of cultural memes or expressions. Here are a few examples. Okay, so these seem to not necessarily. It seems to have sort of misunderstood. So
It's been crapping up lately. Anyway,
it seems to have given me. So I think what I should have told it was that it needs to be the title of the film, because all it's done is given me films where the title is not a meme. So it said that Mean Girls created. Oh yeah, That's So Fetch. Office Space created a bunch of them. Napoleon Dynamite. Gosh.
Yeah. Okay.
So if I reword that,
well, it's still that's an interesting take on the question.
Yeah.
Just while
ChatGPT.
you're doing that, another one is Shallow Hal. I've heard people refer that in kind of pop culture-y terms, but the film itself pretty forgettable, and that was Gwyneth's effort as well.
Oh yeah.
And of course,
wow. What an impact
Sky
she's
Captain and The World of Tomorrow, which I often say, instead of saying fuck or shit, I'll say, Sky Captain and The World of Tomorrow.
I think the other one, John, that has just sprung to my mind is Soylent Green. Because that's a forgettable film, but Soylent then became what people would refer to as a sort of tasteless, flavorless drink that had nutritional benefits. And I think also in the movie Soylent, it turns out that I haven't seen the film, but I think it turned out that it was set in the future, and I think everybody was drinking or eating something called Soylent Green, and then it turned out that product was made of humans or something. I think that's right. I might have got that totally wrong. So how can we ask it if so ChatGPT, the movies, the bucket list, and the Sliding Doors are better remembered for the expressions that they created. Can you give me more examples of equally forgettable films? And then I'll say something.
So I just tried it.
Meme is
I think
in
you're on the
the
right
title of the
because I
film.
said, you can do a follow-up and just say, I need it to be in the title. You fucking idiot.
Okay, so it's sorry, John, go on. Mine's done it.
I just wrote. Oh, has it?
Yeah, which is pretty.
That's cool.
This is pretty cool. So,
what's it giving you?
Catch-22.
Oh, yeah, great example.
The
Yep.
film based on Joseph Heller's novel introduced the term catch-22 into the lexicon, describing a no-win situation or paradoxical rule. Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
I was having a Groundhog Day moment when the same
Yeah.
shit just keeps happening over and over
Yeah.
again.
But
I'm not
also
sure
a
about
great source film.
I'm not sure about this.
Yeah.
Snakes on a plane, is that an expression? Through the film, though the film itself was not a major critical success, the title became a cultural phenomenon, often used to describe any bizarre or over-the-top scenario. This might be a Gen Z thing. Guys,
That was a real snakes on a plane moment.
yeah, guys, that this party is so snakes on a plane, no cap. You so real
Yeah.
for saying that.
Imagine if you, let's say you took a girl home, things were going well. She slides off her dress and you go, snakes on a plane as a like exclamation.
And slap your knee.
Yeah, so I tried and it gave me, are there any others that stand out?
Well, these don't
before
seem the first two were great. Catch-22 and Groundhog Day, but then it's got like snakes on a plane, dude, where's my car? The title of this comedy became a catchphrase for any situation where someone forgets or loses something important. No, it didn't. What the fuck are you talking about? Chargy Cipui. Sophie's Choice, is that one? Is that a thing people say?
Yeah, that is one, I would argue.
And what does
Yeah.
that mean? So the title of this drama
So
has become synonymous with any difficult decision between two equally undesirable options. Okay, got it.
It's a bit obscure because it's a very sad premise, that film. So you wouldn't use that in an office conversation maybe. But
Did you get some?
I sort of put it more bluntly in an effort to get it to cooperate. I said, what are some films that are forgettable but are remembered mostly because their titles became part of the lexicon, e.g. Sliding Doors? And it said, it gave me the example of Sliding Doors. It's like, fucking, you're not getting any points for that. Single white female. I mean, that is remembered.
Yeah,
for
that
its
is one.
title.
Is that is?
And you
is
could say, I single white femaled you, I reckon. Like I've said that to people where like, somebody moved into the same office as me and I accused them of single white femaling me.
okay.
Fatal Attraction. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily use that. I get it. It's like it's a memorable expression or phrase. And then the others, Indecent Proposal. Yeah, arguably.
Although again, I'm not sure how much I would use. I mean, what would you say? That's an indecent proposal, and everyone would think, "Oh yeah, the film," which is not with Bucket List and Sliding Doors. You don't think of the film, but if somebody said that's an indecent
right.
proposal, you have to know. You have to very much
Yeah.
know the film to understand the expression.
Yeah. And if you weren't referring to the exact kind of proposal in the film, like paid me money for sex or like, $1 million for one night with your wife or whatever the premise is. Like if you said, if I was a lawyer and the other side offered us a settlement option that was undesirable and I said that's an indecent proposal, people would think, why are you referencing that film?
That's off. Why have you done that?
That's right. Now I'm thinking about Demi Moore in a sex scene. Eyes Wide Shut? I don't think so, really. I mean, it's, again, memorable film, but like, why?
Yeah.
The title has been used to describe a state of obliviousness. No, I don't know if it has. Unfaithful. Well, that's just a word
It's a word.
that people use. And then Basic Instinct. It says, the title has become synonymous with a primal, uncontrollable urge. Again, I don't know that it has, but like if I said someone Basic Instinct me, you'd be more likely to think that I was interviewing them and they uncrossed their legs and revealed their genitals rather than anything about a primal, uncontrollable urge.
Here, I guess you could say I asked it again. Twilight Zone, although it was it was a 1983 film, and to be honest, I don't know a lot about the TV series or the film. So if somebody said this is like the Twilight Zone, it's just about being in a dreamlike unreality.
Or like a creepy alternate reality, I suppose. We're in the Twilight Zone. I think, guys, if you have a favorite film or TV show that you feel needs to get a second lease on life as part of the cultural vocabulary, why don't you start introducing it? Be the change that you want to see. You know, go up to the water cooler at work and say, start talking about how you got Ned and Stacey'd on the weekend, and then, or Dharma and Gregged, and people can say, what does that mean? And then you have to introduce them to the wonderful show.
Oh, guys, doing my tax return on the weekend was so everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, that's right.
Totally. Man, I hear that.
I mean, back when he just did stand-up, I remember Zach Galifianakis having a bit where he said, do you ever, something happens to you and you just think to yourself, that's so Raven.
Oh, man. Z, as we call him here on the podcast.
That's right.
Our best mate. John, we're at 42 minutes, which is such a great time for a podcast to come towards the end. But I've got a little something that I want to share with you, which I didn't tell you in prep. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a background. Last week or a couple of weeks ago, we were making songs with our favorite text prompt to incredible song generator, Udio, U-D-I-O, for anybody that wants to give it a crack. And we sent out the challenge to the audience and we said, you guys want to make a Udio song and send it in to us, by all means do it. And I got an anonymous email at the DPTM account this week, dptm.org, if you want to send us an email, everybody. hello@dptm.org. Some anonymous prompt wizard just sent, it was like, I don't think there was no text. It didn't even say, I'd done you a song. It just it's just a Udio link. And I'm going to send it to you now, John. And
I don't know who it is.
Yeah, well, I wrote back and said, tell me who this is right now. I've got, or I'll hack in and find out who it is. And they said,
you'll be charged with using a carriage service to harass.
what's a carriage service? Like, what's a carriage service?
Oh, it's
like
like an old-fashioned term for like sending someone an offensive letter or email.
Oh, wow.
You're often charged with using a carriage service to intimidate or something.
So I'm going
to, like postmen
actual
used to have to
carriages.
deliver it. Yeah.
I'm going to send this to you on WhatsApp, John. And if you can do the classic thing where you raise your hand when it starts so that I know where to put it in the show because I haven't quite worked out. Guys, over there at Squadcast, you really need to put a soundboard in so that we can just fire things off. I actually joined their Slack channel for creators.
Oh, cool.
So I could go in and say, oi. But it's just, I mean, I'm part of so many communities, John. I'm part of IRL communities. I'm part of online communities. I'm just too communitied out. I can't commit all of my time to this many goddamn communities. But I'm going to send you...
There's probably a community for that.
Yeah.
People who are spreading themselves too thin on the community.
Who are over-communitied. So...
go.
So I've sent it to you there, and as soon as it starts, so if you click it, you will see... When you click it, you'll see the little player down the bottom is the play button.
Yeah, it says dangerous web page blocked, but I'll just say accept, risk, and continue.
Yes, please.
And accept, risk, and continue. That's nice. I might get that tattooed on my arm. It's good life advice. Just accept the risk and continue, guys.
You could have you could have it tattooed on your chest with a little arrow pointed down to your junk. Or like a series of arrows, like a little path.
Yeah.
And it could swirl. Instead of being a straight line, it should be a little swirly line.
Talking is the door, dynamite discourse, Christian myths, tech tips, theology source. Two friends robbing got their wisdom on display, holding conversations like a Nobel Prize play. School days, memories sprinkled like garnish. Knowledge bomb dropping, minds getting tarnished. Podcast kings, rulers of cerebral terrain. Don't praise the machine, use your brain sustain. Don't praise the machine, man, find its own. Tech and faith debates
Yeah.
over microphones. Friends cracking jokes, dropping gems in the stream. Stay woke, tune in, this your brain's vaccine. From gadgets and gizmos to ancient scripts. Navigating
that.
knowledge without any skips. Spirituality mixed with tech in the blender. Hot takes served up like a Sunday vendor. Schoolyard tales back when we had it easy.
Friends debating deep, knowing, keeping it breezy.
They say don't praise the machine, no rust nor rain. Keep thinking free, let your intellect rain. Makes you laugh, makes you think.
This is
Every time
fantastic.
they drop an episode, don't blink. Old friends conversating, breaking it down. Top of cast around, wearing the crown. Don't praise the machine, man, find its own. Tech and faith debates over microphones. Friends cracking jokes, dropping gems in the stream. Stay woke, tune in, this your brain's vaccine. Discussing new tech while debunking old myth. Step into the edge, giving ignorance a lift. Sound waves rip, every message so profound. In the land of the screens, they help you stay ground. From
In the land of the
classrooms to
screens, they
chat
help you
rooms,
stay
bridging the gap.
ground.
Keep your mind
Love
sharp,
that.
don't fall in the trap. Friendships the canvas, tech paint the scene. Listening to them feels like a scholar's dream.
Feels like a scholar's dream.
Don't praise the machine, man, find your zone. Tech and faith debates over
Nice.
microphones.
All these bitches sucking on my dick. I got bitches on my dick. 17 bitches sucking my dick. Okay, so you can stop it there.
Okay.
So that's pretty good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
It's the actual groove, the cadence, the old school boom back, but the old school boom back. The interesting thing about this generation of the song is that it does appear to be referencing content within our podcast. Now, I don't know if the anonymous prompt engineer who emailed this to us adjusted the lyrics or they simply put in a prompt. And if they did simply put in a prompt, I'm not sure what the prompt was. It will be quite amazing if they've simply put in a prompt like, don't praise the machine, the podcast, make a rap song about it. And the AI Udio was then able to dig into the interwebs and find potentially transcripts of the podcast. And then because as it's going there, John, you've got Christian myths, tech tips, technology source, two friends vibe and got their wisdom on display. And then it says school days memories sprinkled like a garnish. Now there's nothing, you know what I reckon? The description of our podcast says two school friends, because we have the Don't Praise the Machine podcast in all the podcast aggregators, and there's a little bio about the podcast, which is just a couple of paragraphs long. And that's everywhere. Like when you Google Don't Praise the Machine, the podcast, the description always comes up. So my guess is that it's pulling from just these two paragraphs of text.
But then certain things seem to capture the tone, don't they? Like schoolyard tales back when we had it easy, friends debating deep, keeping it breezy. Amazing. I love that line. In the land of the screens, they help you stay ground. I think we should put that on a t-shirt.
That's like that's not in the description, and that is something that we bang on about all the time. Is the poison rectangle,
totally.
the cursed rectangle.
Keep your man. Friendships, the canvas, tech paint the scene. Couldn't have put it better myself. Listening to them feels like a scholar's dream. Interesting. Yeah, they might. I mean, you're right, because we also have adjectives in the description, things like surreal, funny, and thought-provoking, which might serve as an inspiration for the lyrics. Makes you laugh, makes you think every time they drop an episode. Don't blink. Old friends conversating, breaking it down. Top podcasts around wearing the crown.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit
Fire.
of a Will Smith vibe to it as well, which I love.
I wonder if perhaps the prompt engineer might share the prompt with us. So, John, our description on Apple Podcasts says, Al and John grew up together in the 1990s, but now live on opposite sides of the world. Each week they get together through the magic of the internet to catch up, make each other laugh and try to make sense of it all. The result is a funny, surreal, and thought-provoking excursion through the arcane recesses of pop culture and technology and the mysteries of everyday life. What's it like to have a virtual companion? Did Hilaria Baldwin really pretend to be Spanish? Why did movies used to have a rap in the credits to explain their plot? That's it. So there does appear to be things in there that do not that are not pulled from the description. So if it's able to scrape the web and pull transcripts of the pod, then that's quite
pretty amazing. Yeah. Well, either way, I love it. I think it actually contains some descriptions of the show's content that I might appropriate for our marketing purposes. And I want to thank the anonymous donor.
Yeah. So
a philanthropic prompt.
Yeah. So whoever sent that to us, please get in touch so that I can give you the props that you deserve. So true.
Yeah. Secret admirer.
Yeah, secret admirer. And that's been this week's episode of Don't Praise the Machine, episode number 167. John's off to a midsummer party for deep sacrifices. They've bought a child to sacrifice. I don't know where you got it. I don't want to know where you got it. John keeps telling me he's got a different laptop that's on the dark web, and he's provided a child for the midsummer sacrifice. They're going to be it's going to be so beautiful.
Than you'd think.
So for you, it's the darkest. It's the shortest day of the year. Is that? Have I got my?
It's a winter solstice party, so we're going to be gathered around the fire pit.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, Manatoya, please come to me. Send me my father. Set his spirit free. Gooba gabba, we accept you. One of us. Just all the famous chants.
That's a good example of you trying to get the underappreciated film Secret Garden into the cultural sphere.
Secret Garden and Freaks. We should talk about Freaks.
Yeah.
That's such a good film.
One of my favorite running themes on Curb Your Enthusiasm is that Larry David has this kind of puerile fascination with like freaks and he buys Ted Danson a book of freaks, and he's like, this is really distasteful. Anyway, but thanks everyone for being here, and thank you very much for the anonymous prompter for that wonderful hip-hop journey that had a little bit of a Will Smith and Marky Mark vibe to it, which I love. And as soon as I get off this podcast, I'm going to start preparing for my midwinter party, and I'm going to do it probably accompanied by that song. Just
beautiful.
Memorize it.
Beautiful. Thank you
Maybe
so
I'll
much.
Do a midwinter rap for everyone when I arrive.
Why don't you say, guys, I've made a midwinter rap. Just play you. Just get Udio up, and everybody who's at the party, get their name in it. And then when their name comes up, sort of open your eyes wide and go, Mike, say, Sarah, yeah. Sorry, Greg, I didn't know you were going to be here. Don't praise the machine. Find your zone. Come on, everybody, grab the microphone. Okay.
Should we do it? Should we call it out? Should we end it?
Should we end it? So I'll go, thank you so much, everybody. This has been Don't Praise the Machine, and we can't wait to see you next week.
The podcast.
Bye.